Welcome to the Mills Knows Bills podcast. My name is Mills Bender. I'm the founder and CEO of Mills Knows Bills, where we help you, variable income earners, master your money in 90 days. The point of this podcast is to help you make the most of your fluctuating income so you can stop living paycheck to paycheck, pay off your debt twice as fast, and get on track toward reaching both your personal and professional financial goals. Now, as I continue to grow my team here at MKB, you may have some guest hosts from time to time. However, our goal does not change. Whether we're bringing in a guest speaker, having an in-depth conversation about our personal finances, or talking about a topic that is of interest to you, our goal is to help you master your money. Welcome back to another episode of the Mills Knows Bills podcast, where we answer your burning financial questions. I'm your host and CEO of MKB, Mills Bender, and with me today, I have the not hilarious Christian Wilson.
Thank you. I appreciate that introduction.
Christian, for those of you who don't know, is one of the fractional CFOs on our team, and he's going to be helping to answer one of the questions that was submitted to us on, online. That's
I don't know where it came from.
Online, interwebs.
I just know it comes from over there.
Over there. We're breaking the fourth wall. We have Chloe Pena of Day of Socials, our marketing guru. Chloe, what is our question for today?
Why is my gross profit margin so low, and what changes should I make?
Gross profit margin so low. All right, so let's first educate the masses here on what gross profit margin is, because chances are, if you don't know why your gross profit margin is low, you probably don't even know what goes into your gross profit margin.
That's probably true.
We're gonna back it up a little bit first.
All the way back?
All the way back.
All the way back.
All the way back. So where do you find your gross profit margin? On the income statement or profit and loss statement. This is something that you can pull up in your bookkeeping software, QBO, for example. Your P&L will show most of your transactions that come in and come out of your accounts for the month. All right. So your top line is going to be your revenue, your sales, your income before any expenses come out of your accounts. The next section is going to be your COGS, or cost of goods sold. If you back out that expense from your revenue, you're left with your gross profit, right? Gross profit margin is that dollar amount divided by your revenue. Okay. Why is it so low? First of all, you need to identify what is low for your industry. So,
Absolutely.
Christian, how can somebody look up what their profit margin should be, their gross profit margin?
For their industry?
Yeah.
So for the industry, I think we talked about this last week. You call your competitors, actually have conversations with your competitors. You can also get onto the online. So Google or, Yahoo Finances, if it's a public trade company. But you can start doing Google searches or have conversations to dial in what exactly the profit margin is for an industry or for a company.
Yeah. And I think it's important to say that you should also look it up in your country of residence as well as your local city or state. We were looking at a prospect last week, maybe a couple weeks ago.
So yeah.
But they're based in Canada. So their profit margins for our clients here in the States are going to look vastly different.
They actually were pretty different. I think by 5 or 10%.
5 to 10%, depending on,
a bit.
Yeah, it ranged ridiculous amounts. So you need to know what you're comparing to, first of all. So now going to the question that was asked, why is my gross profit margin so low? Let's operate under the assumption that it is low. How can we fix it? What are some things that we need to look at, Christian?
You need to look at your cost of goods sold.
Yeah.
You need to be, so cost of goods sold, variable expenses that are tied to sales, tied to your revenue. So as revenue goes up, COGS are going to go up. But you need to renegotiate with vendors or look to see where you can start dialing back on those costs so that it's not eating into your revenue.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, and it also depends on your industry. Let's say that you're in construction, right? You can, of course, go back to your vendors or manufacturers, see if you can renegotiate some of that pricing. But we were having a conversation with Jen, the other fractional CFO on our team.
Buy in bulk.
Buy in bulk.
Jen loves buying in bulk.
Yeah,
She's
buying in
a
bulk.
Huge fan.
Costco. But also,
I do love using Costco.
Also, maybe finding a different vendor or manufacturer, seeing if there's somebody else out there doing the price comparisons. Mm-hmm. Very often we get so caught up in the day-to-day of our business that we forget to go back to some of the basics, which is renegotiating, finding other pricing, buying in bulk, being able to improve our gross profit margin simply by having those conversations or taking the time to research.
Just like you should be reaching out to your bookkeeper and your accountant to have those conversations multiple times a year, you should be reaching out to your vendors multiple times a year in order to renegotiate. Those you should have a personal connection, a personal relationship with your vendors. This should not just be an online, here's my order and we're done. Like you should constantly have those conversations trying to renegotiate for better rates.
Yeah. I would say 4 times a year, half of those times. So 2 times a year, you should be at least doing the research and touching base, taking pulse of where you're at in comparison to your competitors. The other 2 times a year, you should have those formal conversations.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Chloe, do we have a follow-up question for this episode?
Why is it so hard to scale my service business, and how can I grow faster?
Why is it so hard to scale my service business, and how can I grow faster? You see, there's a lot of different ways that we can come at answering this question. What I would say is let's take that prospect up in Canada, right? You and I did that as a kind of a case study together anyway. What were some of the issues that prospect was coming across?
Well, for one, he was having issues with some seasonality sales, right? So he fell into a slow season. He was also kind of restructuring his whole business. Yeah, he spent, or I think he made $3 million, but he had spent $2 million of that on subcontractors. Yeah. That's before you even get into the cost of goods sold or to administrative fees. Yeah. So he completely restructured his the way he was doing business to bring it all back in-house. And so even though he was making less money, I think his profit was actually in a better position percentage-wise.
Yeah, I think when it comes to your business, if it's not scaling, chances are it's because you're scaling the wrong thing or the wrong way. You're spending money in a way that is not going to give you the higher profit margin. One of my clients who does, he's a firearms dealer. He's actually going to be making less top line this year, but he's making 5 times the amount of profit.
Oh, nice.
So it's not about the revenue per se. It's about making sure that you're scaling the right way and identifying the inefficiencies below your gross profit, all of those operating expenses. Very often it's easy for us to increase those expenses at the same rate as revenue, but it doesn't necessarily give us a dollar for dollar or
it does not
more dollar for dollar return on that investment.
Well, even going even further back, I mean, what is your goal? Like I want to scale. It's a great question. I want to scale. That's wonderful. What does that mean? How much do you want to scale by? How much, like what is by when? What does all of that look like? How are you going to scale? Like we come up with a game plan, step back, like let's actually develop a plan moving forward. Let's look at the financial statements. Let's look at the cash flow. Let's look at your actual goals because you could say that you want to scale, but maybe your goals isn't to work more hours. Like it all changes the path forward that we're going to take because it's different, right? Your goals matter and it needs to be accounted for. And then we need to come up with a game plan, not just looking at the
hot take. Your business might not be scaling because it is not aligned with how you actually want to scale.
Absolutely.
So you're subconsciously self-sabotaging.
100%.
It could be as simple as mindset.
We see it all the time.
Oh, yeah. I've experienced it firsthand.
I mean, going back to the Canadian business, right? That he was not running the business the way that he wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
We saw amazing revenue.
Mm-hmm.
He was not running a business the way that he wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And
the joy factor wasn't there.
No, not at all.
Mm-mm. He's making less money top line this year, but heck of a lot happier and a heck of a lot more profit.
Yeah.
So maybe you're not scaling simply because you don't have the right goals that are aligned with what you want out of life. And then the financial side,
you have to start there.
Yeah, start there, because the financial side, frankly speaking, it's a lot easier to fix than the intangible side, which is the mindset and the emotional side and the goals.
I would much rather deal with the numbers than your emotional side.
Preach. We are kind of financial therapists.
A little bit, actually.
You know.
Yeah.
Chloe, is there anything else that you want us to answer on this episode? No? Is there anything that you feel like we should add? Any final hot takes?
No, I think I'm always gonna harp on having that plan. Having that plan and having your specific goals in mind.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back to that place every time, because I think that's the most important.
It is. It's what gives you direction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you don't know how to create that plan, reach out to Christian at millsknowsbills.com. Schedule a free consultation with him. He will help you with getting started on creating that plan so you can scale your business sustainably and make sure that it is aligned with your personal goals. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Mills Knows Bills podcast.